Welcome to Ask a Recruiter. My name is Tech Sergeant Marshall, and I am a DC Air National Guard recruiter located in Andrews. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I have been a recruiter for a little over 4 years. I've been in the military for 14 years, and this is my second unit. I'm in the 2 different units. So today's topic is actually talking about the initial interview with a recruiter. One of the things that I've understood over the course of time is that when people come into our office, they have this high expectation that they're going to get everything they saw on the internet, and then that's exactly how it works. And unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, but that's not exactly how it is. You do want to come in with an idea of what it is you want to do, but then I need you to understand that you have to remain open-minded about exactly what it is you're trying to do into the military. So let's start back at the basics. So my first question to you is, why exactly do you want to get into the Air National Guard? And again, I say the Air National Guard, which means it's part-time. It's 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and there's nothing else added to it. That is the purpose of the Guard, is to protect the state or territory that you are coming in to do your drills for. So I've noticed that over the years, a lot of people come in for education, health insurance, security clearances, which is huge out here in the metropolitan area in DC. And then there's just some people who just want to serve. And there's many more, but those are just the main ones that I know that are really big topics nowadays. So a little bit about my story is the reason why I got in is because of education. And that's where 90% of the people that I know are interested in joining the unit is because, or joining the military at a part-time basis, because they want their education to be taken care of. So in the Guard, it's actually a 6-year contract. And then mine happened to be at the time, it was attached with a bonus. But we'll talk about bonuses later on in the podcast. So I already had 2 years of my education taking, through a loan that'll take me till 2000 and whenever to take care of the loan. But I had the loan, but I didn't want to pay for any more education. I wanted somebody else to pay for it. And that's the main reason why I joined. So after 2 more years, I had 4 years left on my contract. I ended up moving from Virginia all the way up here to DC. And the beautiful part about that was, I didn't lose any time doing that. I just kind of jumped right in on, I just decided that, hey, I wanted to move back home, and this was the closest base that I had to go to. Now, what I want you to understand, it is a part-time job. So that only means you only work for 39 days. On a 6-year contract, if you were to do every single solitary day, that's like 234 days. So technically it's not even a full year, quote unquote, but that's literally what you have as far as that part's concerned. And so for people who are interested in the education benefit, I know there are 2 kind of benefits that are attached to it. So one is called tuition assistance. So what you do is you go into your school. They might have a VA rep or a veteran assistant or a veteran program for veterans. They also might call them like military reps. Each school is different. You just have to ask and say, hey, I'm in the military. I'd like to use my benefits. So your tuition assistance. So for us in the DC Guard here in 2017, we have a $15,000 tuition assistance program right now. And you got to apply for the program, and you can't get this program until after basic training and tech school. So let's caveat on that. And so what you have to do is you apply for it, and you can go to any state, any place you want to go to. The DC Guard is very unique in that aspect because not everybody has that same rule. So you'll definitely have to talk to your recruiter to find out what in each state is that something that's different. So for the DC, you can go to Virginia school, you can go to California. It doesn't matter, that $15,000 goes with you. And then what you have to do, then you also have the Montgomery GI Bill. Now, the Montgomery GI Bill, or the GI Bill in general terms, has different chapters. So the chapter for any Guard member or any reserve or any Guard member is called a 1606. Okay, and so let me break down those 2 benefits for you. For the tuition assistance, you get the $15,000. Now, the cap on that is that it's for an entire year of school. That's number 1. And number 2, you can use it for 15 years. On your 16th year of your anniversary, you can no longer use this benefit. So basically what I'm saying is if this education is something that you're extremely interested in, just make sure that you do get that benefit taken care of, that you get to school. You don't have, and make sure that it's an accredited college. You don't want to go to spend your money at a school and then find out, oh my God, I went through all this education and I don't have, I don't have a degree. So you want to make sure that that's something that you're taking care of. And then what I want you to understand is that your chapter 1606 is good for 36 months. Now, some people freak out and they're like, oh my God, that's only a 3-year degree. But here's the thing I want you to understand. You have to take out all of the breaks, your holidays, your Christmas break, your summer break, your fall break. So technically you're in school for 9 months. And then if you do times that by 4 years, you get 36 months. So that's literally how you're able to pay for your degree. And just to let you know, they only pay for 1 degree. Literally, obviously, if you only have 36 months, then that's the degree that you use it for. So, and that gives you additional like $3,000, give or take. And depending, again, this is 2017, so the benefit might increase or decrease. So definitely talk with your recruiter to find that out, that tidbit of pieces out. So this year you literally have about $18,000 that you can play with once you've applied for the benefit that you can actually use. So take advantage of stuff like that. Don't wait till the last minute and say, hey, I was never able to get my education taken care of. So the other thing that that we talked about was the bonus. So in this particular example in 2017, we had a $20,000 bonus. So once you came back from basic training and tech school, then you were eligible for this benefit. However, the laws and rules have changed where on your 3rd year, you are eligible for the rest of this bonus. So in retrospect, let's say November 4th, 2018 is when you enlisted, then 2021 is when you would actually have the benefit available to you. So a lot of people start freaking out and they say, oh my gosh, well, what do you mean? I've enlisted. You said that as soon as I get that, I get my $20,000. Well, no, that's not necessarily how it works. Remember how I said there's a 6-year contract that you have to sign? That's number one that makes you eligible for it, along with whatever job you qualify for. So then what you do is you have the timeline. So let's talk about the timeline. So you go into what's called the student flight. So you start that on, like, say, November the 5th or whatever the first drill is. So you go there and literally while you're in student flight, they're getting your paperwork together. They're making sure that your security clearance is done, your finance paperwork is done. You don't get a uniform. So it's usually whoever's in charge, they'll tell you what you're supposed to wear. Please make sure you stay physically fit during this time frame as well. And then they get school dates for you. And then there's more paperwork. And then that generates whatever the time frame is. So usually you're there between 3 to 6 months. And then after that, you have to think about tech school. Tech school is between 2 to 6 months, give or take on whatever job you qualify for. And then plus another 2 months for boot camp. So literally you're gone for about from 4 to 8 months, depending upon your job. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So that literally what you're looking at is the fact that by the time you come back from basic training and tech school, and the fact that they finished all your paperwork, a minimum of about 2 years have probably gone by before you're actually going to, receive this benefit. So literally it's not really that long Just make sure that you talk to your retention office manager, and then he or she will be able to direct you as far as what specifically that you need in order to make sure that you do get your bonus. I do caveat on this. Recruiters do not know when you're going to school. That is not technically the job of the recruiter. The education and training managers, they are in charge of that whole program. So when you come into the office and say, hey, I want to be gone from this time to this time, I only want to be gone in the summer because I don't want to take school off, or I only want to be gone in the winter between this time and this time. That's not how it works. It literally is by the time you come in and you are recruited and you swear in, your time clock starts. That's when they can actually go ahead and start looking for school dates. That's when they can start getting some of that stuff together. So you have to understand that when you're coming to talk to a recruiter, you must have some kind of flexibility within your schedule to know that when you go to basic training and tech school, when you're coming into basic training, when you're coming in for drills, or they call it UTAs, you have to be flexible on that aspect and know that that is what you're signing up for. Let me break down exactly what a drill is. So a drill is literally Saturday and Sunday from 7:30 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, some people, because they work on, let's say, a flight line, you might have to come in a little bit early, but again, that's up to your supervisor. So just, again, when you talk to your recruiter, they will tell you they're required by your contract to give you a UTA schedule or a drill schedule. So definitely make sure that you get that. But I want to break down something that some people are not aware of. So literally every time you come to drill, which is vital when you're in a student flight, to show up, because you're getting paid every time you show to drill. So let's say you came in on Saturday. So Saturday from 7:30 until 12 is considered one day. From 12 until 4 o'clock, that's considered day number 2. And then on Sunday, from 7:30 until 12, that's day 3. And from 12 until 4, that is day number 4. So technically, if you were to miss a drill, you would have to come off your job or wherever you're working at for literally 4 days worth of work to make up for the fact you didn't come to drill. Because some people are like, hey, I don't have to come to drill because I'm tired, something happened at school, whatever the excuse happens to be, and I don't want to show up. So if you don't show up, you are actually hurting yourself more than you think, because you're going to have to make up that time. And so just keep that in mind. Always make sure that you have a point of contact to say, hey, I have to make up drill, or can I be excused, or whatever the case is, so you have what they call a good year. So I want to talk about one more thing before I wrap up, and that is when you're coming in. Let's talk about expectation management. A lot of people come into the Guard and they have a degree. Congratulations. I absolutely applaud you on that aspect. And a lot of people want to become officers. I'm going to caveat this. You cannot be an officer unless you have applied for the job. So for the Guard, for instance, if you go to, or for the 113th DC Air National Guard, if you go to our website, which is 113wg.ang.af.mil. Again, that's 113wg.ang.af.mil. Go under the resources tab, and then you're going to click on the careers tab. There is a section that says officer. So you actually have to click on that little section right there, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know about becoming an officer. So please, please, please do your research on that aspect as far as before you come to talk to a recruiter, because it's not going to do you any service to say, hey, all I want to do is become an officer. And that's nothing that 90% of the recruiters can do. 90% of the recruiting force is to recruit enlisted individuals. There's maybe 1 or 2 within each stop, within each section, that actually does officer work. So just keep that in mind when you're coming to the office. So yeah, you can go ahead and come into the office and say, I want to become and be an officer. They're going to do the exact same thing and say, hey, you got to do A, B, and C. Another thing is that you're not going to be taking what's called the ASVAB. You'll be taking what's called the AFOQT test, which is the Air Force Qualification Test. So you have to actually qualify to become an officer. It's kind of equivalent to the GRE with a couple of, pilot questions and navigation questions. So that gives you a little bit of a hint. And then you have to have a degree or a letter saying that you would finish your degree. So that's literally an entire program all by itself. So please, 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 whatever you do when you're coming in, just know that if you want to become an officer, you have to go that route. And or, go ahead and go to the academy, go into the ROTC programs at your college, or any other avenue. And again, we'll talk on a different podcast about the different options to become an officer. That's just not in this particular one. But what I do want you to understand, remember how I told you when I first came into the military, I actually had some college aspect to it. So the beautiful part about the fact that I had 2 years worth of college is that it was to my advantage, because instead of me coming in as an E1 with no stripes, I came in with an E3. So an E3 is definitely an A1C for us, and that's definitely giving me a little bit more money. So you have to look at it from that standpoint. As far as when I go into basic training at tech school, I get paid active duty pay. I definitely want to get paid E3 pay versus E1 pay. So definitely talk to your recruiters about that aspect as far as, what to anticipate as far as that part is concerned. I also want to caveat and let you know that just because you don't have a college degree doesn't mean you're not coming in as just only an E1. So let's say, for instance, you did ROTC while you were in high school, or you were a Scout, Eagle Scout, something along those lines, and you did a lot of things. So definitely bring all your awards and things of that nature. And then let's say you qualify for a specific job. Again, I'm not going to do that in this podcast, but I'm going to do it in the next one, where we actually tell you step by step on how you actually qualify for the ASVAB, for your job based off the ASVAB score. Again, that's completely different from officers. So let's say you picked a job that was, because of your ASVAB score, you qualified for what they call skills to stripes. You'll actually be able to become an E3, which helps you out dramatically. So those are some of my tips this week about your initial interview that I want you to keep in mind. Again, recapping, what is your why for why you're coming into the Guard? As far as 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, understand that you are signing a 6-year contract. It's not just, I feel like coming in when I feel coming in. That's 39 days out of the year. And no, your 2 weeks is not going to be in the summer. It'll be whenever the unit picks, that time frame based on their rotation of the mission that you're actually going to. You do get tuition assistance. You do get the GI Bill, which again is varied in different states. And then you are in student flight when you initially come into the DC Guard. That actually helps you as far as getting all your paperwork is concerned. So the Guard is what I consider like, the world is like Swiss cheese. When you went to high school, it was great. The cheese was beautiful. It was yellow, or if you like white cheese or whatever the case is. And then all of a sudden it starts shriveling up a little bit. Sorry if you like, Swiss cheese, but then it starts shriveling up and there was a whole bunch of holes in it. And then all we're supposed to do in the Guard is to be able to fill in those holes to make your life a little bit better than what it was yesterday or without us. And I think that if you look at it from that standpoint, we don't have all the answers to it, but we definitely do have a lot of the answers that you need in order to become progressive in your career outside in the civilian sector or the civilian world, however you look at it. Because I was able to become very successful. A lot of people were able to get over humps because they had the education, they had the health insurance, they had the security clearance, and whatever other reason why they wanted to join. And that's just because they became something a little bit bigger than themselves. So hopefully this podcast is able to help you all as far as some of the information. I know I get down into the nitty gritty in the weeds. So definitely, I try to make this as short as possible. 20 minutes is probably about the extent of somebody's, listening ability before they start, drifting or whatever. But hopefully this was able to help you out. Again, if you actually have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can actually go ahead and put it in the box below. Or you can call in. I'll have a call-in number later on, and we'll be able to link up with you. Again, hope you all have a great one. I'll talk to you all soon.